When we sit down, the amygdala is allowed to stay wide open. And so when you sit down, it actually makes it worse. And so you're actually getting worse when you think, you say, what's the first thing we do when we get stressed out, when fear strikes us? We say, hey, hold up, let me get my thoughts together. Let me sit down a minute. And when you sit down, it's wide open. It's wide open. And your amygdala, your threat detection center, is sitting there screaming at you that you're about to go under, that you're not going to make it, that life is over for you. So before we roll out with episode 509, we're going to do some exercises this morning. All right. So the exercises are, you can use whichever dominant hand you use. Okay. If you're left-handed or you're right-handed, hold up your thumb. Now move it forward, backwards, and side to side. Great. Okay. These are your finger exercises. Now what I want you to do is use these fingers, keep them wiggling. Use these fingers to hit the share button to bring people onto the sales life. And also use it to rate and review the show. So that way we can help grow the show. I can't do it without your fingers. And the good news is, man, I'm going to help you get healthy by using your little finger exercise. So if you would, do that for me, man. Put those thumbs to work. I don't need you to do anything else but that right there. Tom Bilyeu. I love his podcast. He has a podcast called Impact Theory. And it's both on YouTube and also on podcast. And so recently he had Andrew Huberman on his podcast. And Andrew is a neuroscientist. And about 26 minutes into the interview, Huberman starts talking my language, man. He starts talking about fear. And I'm really kind of drawn to fear because I have to learn to manage fear because I'm in the sales profession. And I mean, yes, we have everyday fear, but as sales professionals, we have to go in and we're actually confronting fear every single day. So once they start talking about fear, it was a really good episode. And I'll put the links on the Facebook, the Sales Life Facebook group. So that way you can see a clip of the interview that we're going to talk about this morning, and also the full interview as well. And so specifically, Huberman is talking about the amygdala. And the amygdala is the threat detection center in your brain. And Huberman explains that studies have shown that lateral eye movement, side to side movement, lateral eye movement actually quiets the amygdala. That's the threat detection center. Not vertical movement, lateral movement, side to side. And why is this? Studies show that the lateral eye movement is what we use when we move forward. So when we're walking along, when we're walking through space, we're actually scanning side to side. You probably don't even realize it, but you're looking left to right. And so because of that lateral eye movement, while you do that, studies show that actually quiets down the amygdala. See, when we're struck with fear, it's normally one of two emotions, especially in sales, man. We can definitely relate to this. So when we're hit with fear, we either freeze or we run and hide. And for us as salespeople, we freeze, we stand around, okay, or we run and hide, meaning we go sit in a chair somewhere and just vegetate away. But Huberman said there's a third option. The third option is where you actually move forward. And when we move forward, the forward confrontation, leaning into the friction, produces that growth mindset and actually suppresses the amygdala. And with that forward movement, with that friction, as you move forward, what it's going to do is it signals the brain to release the chemical of dopamine into your system. And you actually get rewarded for the effort, for the forward movement, for the lateral eye movement in the face of stress or threat. Dude, when I heard this, I like, wait, what? Back up the truck. And I probably listened to this clip, I don't know, 7, 8 times. I'm probably going to listen to it another 7 or 8 times. The forward movement suppresses, it quiets down the amygdala. The amygdala, the OS part, oh shoot. When the amygdala rears up, that forward movement, and with my lateral eye movement, quiets it down. And because I'm moving forward, it releases dopamine into my system. It makes me feel better. See, the forward physical movement is what is needed when you are overwhelmed or you're physically exhausted. And it sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? I mean, bro, when you're like physically wiped out, you're exhausted, when you are maxed out, I mean, stress-wise, it's counterintuitive. Normally, what do? Normally, we just go sit down. And when we sit down, the amygdala is allowed to stay wide open. And so when you sit down, it actually makes it worse. And so you're actually getting worse when you say, what's the first thing we do when we get stressed out, when fear strikes us? We say, hey, hold up, let me get my thoughts together. Let me sit down a minute. And when you sit down, it's wide open. It's wide open. And your amygdala, your threat detection center, is sitting there screaming at you that you're about to go under, that you're not going to make it, that life is over for you. And then let me add to that. When you sit down, what do you normally do? Pull out your phone. And what do you normally do on your phone? Pull out social media. And which direction is social media? Vertical. So you're scrolling up and down. Your eyes are moving vertically, not laterally. They're moving vertically. And you're sitting there with the amygdala wide open, vertically scrolling through your phone, looking at everybody else's success. Look how happy they are. Look at the vacation that they have. Look at the nice car that they're driving. Look at the wonderful marriage they have. Look at all the sales they're making. Look at how they're just balling in life. And I'm sitting here getting run over. Amygdala, bro, it's wide open. For 2 reasons. You're sitting and you're using vertical eye movement. It's the lateral eye movement. Studies show, bro. That's what Huberman's talking about. It's the lateral eye movement and forward physical action that will suppress it and release the feel-good chemicals into your system. See, and the thing about the amygdala, it's not connected to your limbs. It has no idea if you're sitting in a chair or moving around or not. It doesn't know. The only way the amygdala can detect forward movement is because when you walk through space, as you walk along, your body naturally, your eyesight, your eye movement naturally goes left to right, left to right, left to right. And so when it does that, left to right, your amygdala says, oh, okay, I guess I got to quiet down. And then the chemicals are released of dopamine. Huberman's words, the forward movement across the threshold. I love that word, across the threshold. You know, the threshold is like at the door. You know, when you bring your bride into the new home, and you cross the threshold, that's the front door, that's that frame. When you cross the threshold, the frame of the thing that you most fear, when you do that, It suppresses the fear and rewards you by releasing chemicals of dopamine into your system. So when you're stressed and when you're maxed out and when you're overwhelmed, here's what I need you to do. Get moving. Get moving. And see, bro, you're hardwired to do so. You have, I don't know, millions of years, thousands of years, whatever it is, a long time. You are hardwired to physically move forward. Yet many times we get short-circuited because our emotions, our feelings, it's like dumping water on wires, man. It goes, and that's what happens. The feeling of the moment gets dumped on top of our hardwiring, short circuits us, and that's why we go sit down. That's why we go scroll social media, and it's the two deal killers, bro. Sitting down, no forward physical action, and also vertically looking at a screen versus lateral eye movement. So, when you don't know what to do, when you don't know what your next move is, forward physical action. When you had a bad day at work and you're physically and mentally exhausted, physical forward movement. When every deal that you touch today turns to dust, I mean, bro, you can't win for losing. Every customer you talk to, forward physical movement. When a customer slams the phone down in your face, don't close your eyes. Because when you do that, you're leaving the amygdala wide open. At least, if you're going to do anything, if you're on the phone, bro, look left or right. And you probably consciously have to do that. Because many times we're looking up. Many times we're closing our eyes like, oh God, here we go again. Okay, left to right, left to right, left to right. And then as soon as you get off that phone, or while you're on the phone, when you're talking to Honey Boo Boo, forward physical movement. See, I realize it now, hearing this interview. I realize it now why Steve Jobs took most of his meetings by walking. I mean, if you wanted to meet with him, in most times, long walks. He just stayed walking. Forward physical movement, bro. Lateral eye movement. Became Steve Jobs. Became Apple. So I know this sounds counterintuitive. I know the first thing that you want to do is, when you've had a long day, go sit down. But it would be worth your effort to do some sort of physical movement forward. 10 minutes, man. 10 minutes will probably do you a world of good. And it'll probably do better than what you think. You may come back and be like, well, that didn't do anything. Do it anyway and keep doing it. When you're stressed, when you're maxed, when you're overwhelmed, resist that urge. Don't grab the beer. Go take a walk. All right, TSL action item of today. What's the thing that has you overwhelmed or fearful? What's the thing, man, you keep nutting up in your mind? You're like, what is it? And now that you just named it, you just called it out, go bust a move. Go take a walk. Forward physical movement, lateral eye movement, more productive, suppresses the amygdala, releases the dopamine, the good feel-good chemicals. Bro, you're gonna bust out of success. All right? Don't forget to use those thumbs today. Thumb action. Here's your exercise. This is not part of your physical forward movement. Your thumb action is to share today's episode, is to leave a rating or review. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. D-Sales Life on the YouTube. You can catch this video and probably 300 other ones on there that are applicable. Hey, thanks for watching. Obviously, if you got this far, dude, obviously you want more. So do not go anywhere. I've got another special episode queued up just for you right now.